the ends justify the means. I've said it before. We'll use Lincoln as an example. When they were abolishing slavery, this is one way to look at it. And there's something to it, I think, because I think it may not have seemed too soon to those who were being freed, but I think it was, because those who were being freed were already doing things and, what do you call it, becoming part of this nation. You know, they were brought over and they didn't know how things worked, but as time went by, they acclimated to it, and they were starting to understand, and they were starting to do science, and they were learning to read, and they were getting respected. There was respect coming to these people, and maybe that's why Lincoln jumped all over. He's saying these people, but they say that it's just because the secession would have diminished our great nation. We couldn't be divided. We needed to stand together if we're going to be a world power. I mean, they already had a submarine, and so slavery was abolished, and it pissed everybody off. And then the people that were down there were, and I say this is where the only people that learn from history is the government, because you look back, they're learning about slavery is what they're doing. When they built the pyramids, it suggested if the aliens didn't do it, everybody there, they called them slaves that were working on it, but they gave them a good place to live. They were treated with dignity. They got wages, and they went away from that, and they said, well, I guess that cost too much. Those stupid Egyptians were spending too much money on their slaves. And so they learned from history, and then they tried to enslave the Native Americans, the Amerindians, and they just said, screw you. You couldn't make slaves out of them, and it was too bad for the people at the time and the nation, because they're like, we can't make them work. They would just lie down, you could beat them and kick them and everything, and they just would not work. So then they had to outsource. They had to buy from whoever it was, Portugal. They had to buy from the tribes in Africa who were taking enemies as slaves that would sell them to these shippers. And it just goes so far back. It's terrible to say, but I mean, if you can't say the terrible truth, then all you're doing is supporting a terrible lie, because there's no lie that is going to make us any better. We can't get toward the end of things on a lie. It just takes us down the wrong direction. That's why so much in physics and the formulas they have, they just throw something in there because it makes that work. Well, I don't know, how else is it going to make sense? How do you add a negative? How is it that multiplying two negatives makes a positive? I don't know. You can't make something from nothing. That's what I say. But so then slavery was abolished, and the crackers down there, they're like, okay. What they realized was that it's cheaper to not have to feed them. It's cheaper to not have to house them. And it's more lucrative if they loan them money for their farm that they're trying to keep up. They're ready to make this go, yet you got this fucking cracker screwing them over every inch of the way and charging them interest on things that just shouldn't be done. And they weren't ready, and it's part of why there's a constant struggle. I'd say you would have waited another 20 to 40 years and slavery would have abolished itself. People would have understood, and there would have been no war over it, and there would have been no hatred. These brothers that were killing brothers in the North and South, they didn't like those brothers anyway, but when they got home, they're like, why'd you kill your brother? And they're trying to end slavery. Oh no, it's just a fucking excuse. My brother's at the end of the line right now, waiting for this fucking thing to happen. It's supposed to happen August. I said it was going to be the 8th. Well, if it didn't happen by the 8th, I don't think they've got a fucking plan at all. And you got these other people that are just champing at the bit. Yeah, and they're going to do something. And it's just, you know, where are we going with it? As I said, they've got no plan. And the ends justify the means. There's a very interesting thing that just occurred to me. Through all this stuff that poor guy did, notice I don't like to say his name. It kind of makes me twinge inside. Why? I don't know, and something makes me go, every time you say Trump's name, a demon gets its wings. I don't like to say it. We got enough demons walking around this fucking place. And because of what he did, because of this bullshit that people are still fighting over, we have seen the veil lifted. We have seen how things work. We have seen the deal that's going on. And in the future, you know, this, if there's a coup, it's really too bad, because we should right now be seeing things for what they are. Everybody thinks they need to make a change. Not everybody. And see, most of us never even bothered paying attention, because even though we are getting handed to us a little bit, it could be worse. We go to work, we come home, we have time to ourselves. We're not going through the ditches eating the bodies that are in there. And even because we know that the spirochetes will fucking eat your brain. They'll make you crazy. You start getting shakes. Watch the Book of Eli. Watch, you know, The Road. Watch these things where people are eating people and they're like, you got the shakes. And so we know not to eat the bodies out of the ditches. But some people haven't got enough you know, scientific background in their lives to realize that even the maggots probably isn't good for you. They might think that the maggots are okay. They can scoop them all into a bucket, wash them off, get the spiders out like mushrooms, and then boil them, and you can make some kind of soup. Pop, 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 pop. Eating them would be like walking on them. Pop, pop, pop. Rice Krispies. But if they're eating the bodies, you're probably they've got the spirochetes in them, which wouldn't affect the maggots because it's a different species. But now you're eating up this predator that preys upon you. You would never want to eat a bear that eats people. You just kill that one. So we've been sitting here and understanding that things aren't so bad. They could be better, but you can't make them better by having a coup. The thing is, I can give that poor guy credit. He shouldn't be lauded for it, But as time passes, he should be remembered for it. He should be remembered for being the guy that reminded us all that there is a better way. And what we're living now is just one step towards it. His is a step down. People are paying attention now to the way things go. That means we may actually have a peaceful revolution that comes out of this. If you've got good ideas that people support and that make sense with the situation at hand, we can implement them and we can make things better all around. All we've got to do is really take a look at these things for ourselves. You can listen to some knuckle fucker talk about it, but you go, okay, I'll look into it myself. And what you might find is that the way they work in different countries, taking parts of what they have, it could work here. Just add it to something we are already doing better, maybe. If we can get all the best things and learn from others, it's like spying on politics, but it's all out in the open. What works? What doesn't? Take it. Make it so. And as time passes, he will be remembered. He has the opportunity still of being remembered as the guy that got our heads straight. Not because he had his head straight, but because we can see what maniacal insanity really looks like.